Donald Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene are going to war. So much so that Marjorie Taylor Greene made a post today saying she fears for her life and that she's being contacted by private security firms, and she blames Donald Trump. And as a result, MAGA is in shambles. They're in her comment sections turning on Trump. They're tearing each other apart. He even gets in an interview and threatens her, saying she changed, he doesn't know what happened to her, and he'll have her replaced. And now they are going at it, and Marjorie Taylor Greene is not pulling back. Let's take a look at what Trump had to say.
Marjorie Taylor Greene is not anyway. I mean, she is a very different thinking than I have. Something happened to her over the last period of a month or two where she changed, I think, politically. I think that her constituents aren't going to be happy. Already, I have people calling me. They want to challenge her to a race in her district in Georgia. And, you know, that's too bad. She's lost a wonderful conservative reputation. But when she says, don't go overseas, if I didn't go overseas, we might be in a war right now with China.
What Trump is saying is, you are not allowed to have an independent thought in this cult. You do what I say. You listen to the botnet. The second you act as an individual, the second you do anything against, you are exiled from the cult. And we've seen that happen top down. But it seems that this was the final straw for a lot of people, because Marjorie Taylor Greene posted this after Trump would not stop posting about her. I am now being contacted by private security firms with warnings for my safety, as a hotbed of threats against me are being fueled and egged on by the most powerful man in the world. The man I supported and helped get elected. Aggressive rhetoric attacking me has historically led to death threats and multiple convictions of men who are radicalized by the same rhetoric being directed at me right now. This time by the President of the United States. As a woman, I take threats from men seriously. I now have a small understanding of the fear and pressure the women who are victims of Jeffrey Epstein and his cabal must feel. As a Republican who overwhelmingly votes for President Trump's bills and agendas, his aggression against me, which also fuels the venomous nature of his radical internet trolls, mostly of who are paid, this is completely shocking to everyone. My phone is blowing up with constant amazing support. I'm thankful. The political industrial complex and the toxic violent nature of America politics must end. Our country is worth saving, and it can only be done if we pull together and save ourselves. And it's funny she mentions women feeling in danger around Trump, because apparently 40% of women want to leave the United States between the age of 15 or 44. MAGA policies do not work. They scare and oppress women, so much so that they now want to leave the country. Now we know why Melania always looks mad. And unfortunately for Marjorie Taylor Greene, while MAGA is joining her on leaving Trump and tearing each other apart in the comments, normal people are also getting on her. We told you, you elected him, you did this, you put this man in power, and you didn't care until he turned on you. When he was destroying the rest of America, you were unseen. You voted for this. You were passing those bills. You had nothing to say. And now that you're affected, just like the rest of MAGA, now you want to say something. You could have been said something. Now you want to talk about this, all because he didn't support you joining the Senate. You saw the plane crashing and burning. You did one thing Trump didn't like. You jumped shit. Trump is no longer supporting you, so now this is all coming out. You could have been made these talking points. If you knew all of this, this just goes to show that these people purposely lie to and gaslight you for their own gain. They're playing a game with American lives. This is the rich and elite that run our country. Do not be fooled. Because if Trump did endorse her to join the Senate, it would be radio silence. They only turn on him when he turns on them. ICE beating up Americans, great. But now that it's affecting my life, guys, let's hold hands and make a change. And people can change. It's just when you have a history of betraying America, what else are we led to believe who you are? As a reminder, we only got here because of people like Marjorie Taylor Greene. And let's be straight, while violence is never okay, you created the perfect storm for violence to thrive. You supported all of this, and now it's crashing down, which works to the benefit of normal Americans who want their lives back. And the fact that 40% of women in the United States feel so unsafe they want to leave permanently speaks volumes and the magnitude to the failure of Donald Trump and the people that supported this. And the only way to redeem themselves is to admit they are wrong. But that requires accountability. And in MAGA, accountability doesn't exist. I'm actually convinced MAGA attracts narcissistic personalities. Mind you, only 20% of men want to leave, which shows the stark contrast in the different realities we're currently living in. These people view Trump and everybody that supports him as a threat. So to anybody who thinks Trump is a great leader when 30% of the country wants to leave permanently, you have failed those people. You have not addressed their problems. You were not there for them. You've abandoned them. And you can only abuse somebody for so long until they say, this relationship is toxic, I'm leaving. And these numbers are 15 or 44. Imagine how much higher the percentage would be if it was only Gen Alpha to millennials. But if you ask Trump about the economy, he will completely ignore the American people's needs, their voices, and tell you it's great. Let's take a look at this clip.
But even with interest rates up, The economy is the strongest it's ever been. You know, you asked me, just to go back to the beginning of your question, you talked about prices. We're down on energy. We're down on interest rate. You know, interest rates are down despite the Fed. Now, if we had a normal person at the Fed would have really low interest rates, and we will soon have that. We'll have somebody that's.
And why are people saying they're anxious about the economy? Why are they saying that?
I don't know that they are saying. I think polls are fake. We have the greatest economy we've ever had. We will have over $20 trillion come into our economy, and it's largely because of my election, but it's also largely because of tariffs.
Grown men and women cannot pay their rent. Fully grown adults are forced to live with their parents. Trump didn't hear about the word groceries until last year. So what the hell does he know about not having enough money for food? Nothing. This is the same guy that didn't want to pay poor families SNAP. Federal judges ordered him 3 times to pay, and he still refused because he knows nothing about struggling in this country. Yet he wants to get on camera and talk about a good economy. You couldn't even begin to feel the pain of the majority of Americans right now. And instead of doing something about it, you want to lie to them and push a narrative for your own agenda. And it hurts. It hurts because I know what they feel. And you can only know that feeling if you've been through it. 71% of Americans say they're spending more on groceries, 59% more on utilities, 43% more on healthcare, 37% more on gasoline, 39% more on housing. I hope MAGAs learned their lesson about electing a billionaire to lead a country when he cannot understand your struggles. He has not been through what you've gone through, and he'll never go through it. So how can he relate to you? But this is exactly why MAGA's disbanded. This is not sustainable. American lives are getting ruined every single day as the dictator in office tells them their lives are great, and they're saying help. And the president is saying they're not asking me for help, they're cheering. They're radical. These people think I owe them something. You are the president of the United States. You damn sure do owe these people something. But instead of fixing the country, Trump would prefer to spend his energy trying to ruin Marjorie Taylor Greene. This is the party of I don't care about what's happening to you. I care about what's happening to me right now. Lightweight Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Brown, green grass turns brown when it begins to rot, betrayed the entire Republican Party when she turned left, performed poorly on The Pathetic View, and became the rhino that we all know she always was. Just another fake politician, no different than Rand Paul Jr., Thomas Massey, who got caught being a full-fledged Republican in name only, rhino, make America great again. So Marjorie Taylor Greene takes the stage and continues exposing Trump. We have Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes, and Marjorie Taylor Greene, 3 traitors to America now betraying their own regime because Trump betrayed them. It's like those people who date someone who's already in a relationship, and then that other person cheats on their partner to be with them and leaves them, and then in the future that same person cheats on them to go be with somebody else there. Are we surprised? We're not. Here's what Marjorie Taylor Greene had to say about Trump's economy.
Here's my issue, Steve. We have all-time highs of homeless people on our streets. The drug crisis in America is at all-time highs. The mental health crisis in America is at all-time highs. My kids' generation, the 20-year-olds, they can't afford rent. They can't buy a house. They can't afford insurance. They can't afford bills, and they are losing hope for the future in America.
What a stark contrast to what Trump was saying right here. She's actually doing what's needed to be done to get Trump out of office, and that's correcting his lies. And there's actually nobody more credible for MAGA to hear it from than one of the strongest MAGA loyalists that got him here. For the past few videos, we've been saying MAGA is destroying themselves on the inside. MAGA is at civil war, and they are leaving fast. So much so that these are the types of pictures they're uploading. And even Nick Fuentes has something to say about this. Calling Trump out and saying Trump is disloyal. We are not disloyal.
And I had people last year, friends of mine, tell me, you're being disloyal to Trump. No, you've got it wrong. Trump has been disloyal to us. What more do we owe this person? Seriously. How many of you got fired from your jobs, expelled from your school? How many of you got hit in the face, lost friends because you supported Trump? How many of you went to jail in the Capitol, lost a social media account? How much acrimony, how many problems has the Trump movement created in your life because you supported him?
I want to remind you that this is a self-proclaimed Nazi and a proud white supremacist, by the way. Trump's main core audience has turned on him. This is over. Trump is over. MAGA is over. And even Tucker Carlson has something to say about Trump's misconduct, giving the impression that Trump is not to be trusted and alludes to the impression that Trump will betray you and he's not to be trusted. Let's take a look at this clip.
So Massey has gotten in a fight, like a personal fight with the president. And unfortunately, I think it has gotten personal. I should say I don't agree with Massey's more libertarian than I am. But of all the members other than you of the Congress that I know a lot of them, he's the most principled. He's also a thoroughly decent man, like actually. And his personal life, and I know a lot about it, is like one of the most impressive things I've ever heard. He is self-reliant in the most American sense. This is a guy who lives off-grid in a house he built himself, and every one of his votes is a vote on principle. So I don't know how you couldn't admire a guy like that. I get that he annoys the president personally, got it. But I don't think there are many people in the country who live out Donald Trump's own stated principles more precisely than Thomas Massie does. What the hell is going on that he is a target, but Lindsey Graham has an endorsement? And by the way, I just want to say clearly, I will do everything I possibly can to make sure Lindsey Graham is not reelected. Not because I like Lindsey Graham personally, he's a super charming, nice guy. But if Lindsey Graham continues to get elected, then the whole MAGA thing is totally fake. It's just fake. So, like, what is this?
He just called MAGA fake. And do you know what they're saying in the comments? They are agreeing with him. They're saying that MAGA was the worst thing to happen to this country. Of course, MAGA's fake because their leader's fake. The people that talk to them and give them news are fake. They're paid. And it's only a matter of time before Trump betrays them too. The same way he's betrayed the rest of America because he thinks he can't get anything from us. Newsflash, Trump. You need our vote and you're not going to get it. You're done. And they're even siding with Thomas Massie, who's been calling out Trump for being a PDF and has been actively making videos and posts against him. He's also voted for the release of the Epstein files and encouraged his Republican constituents to do it as well. And these are the polls Trump is calling fake, by the way. These are the demographics of people who know Trump made the economy worse. Independent, 67%. Ages 18 to 34, 66. People of color, 73%. Non-college voters, 57%. Income over or under $50,000 a year, 64%. And the MAGA civil war has gotten so bad that Marjorie Taylor Greene is calling out other Republican congressmen that are supporting Trump. She is telling them all to join her against Trump because in this post she says, the ratio on this post should serve as the ultimate warning to all of my Republican colleagues. You vote no on Tuesday to release the Epstein files and face severe outrage from America. Republicans don't have support from women and this right here is a perfect example of why. And she's referring to this post by a Republican congressman. I'll be voting no to the Epstein hoax. Democrats are using the Epstein hoax to distract us from the winning of the President Trump and his administration. And at the very end he says, President Trump, I stand by you in the fight to save America. I'm not going to let this hoax manufactured by Democrats slow us down. You are a PDF, Troy E. Niels. We will remember your name. And anybody else that votes no to release the Epstein files, we will remember you. You have MAGA calling out MAGA. And if you are MAGA, would you rather support Epstein survivors or the people that did that to them? Your decision in that matter says a lot about you. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is not done. My heart is with Americans who struggle to afford life in America today. After tyrannical COVID lockdowns and gigantic government spending bailouts, inflation has driven costs out of control while American jobs have been replaced by visa holders and illegals. As I said, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Just remember that Marjorie Taylor Greene is severely not to be trusted. My advice? Let them fight. Let them fight it out. Let them have their MAGA civil war. This is all coming to an end. They all see it. And come midterms, it's over for them, if we even make it that far. And we spoke about Thomas Massie earlier. His wife actually passed last year. Rest in peace to her. However, Trump uses this against him. Did Thomas Massie, sometimes referred to as Rand Paul Jr. because of the fact that he always votes against the Republican Party, get married already? Boy, that was quick. No wonder the polls have him at less than an 8% chance of winning the election. Anyway, have a great life, Thomas, and question mark. His wife will soon find out that she's stuck with the loser. And ironically, in an attempt to try to expose somebody else, he only exposes the type of person he is. And so this is the perfect time to let MAGA implode. Nobody's buying the theatrics, and even MAGA is convincing MAGA to leave and disband. And when the own Nazis that voted you into office go against you, you have a serious problem. Overall, it's insane all this is happening, but this is the best possible situation we could be in right now, especially with the Epstein files just being days away from being voted on. And we know just how bad Trump is implicated in that. It's terrible. And with that being said, release the Epstein files, Donald Trump, and we will get our country back. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you have a great day today, and I'll see you next time. Let the MAGA civil war commence.